So just finding that nice, straight, aligned spine, shoulders relaxed, jaw relaxed. Take a big inhale through your nose, big exhale through your mouth. Just take the opportunity to really settle into your skin. Feel every little part of you. Start to deepen your breath, slow it down a little bit if necessary. And then check in with thought processes, check in with emotions, check in with your energy. And then go ahead and bring your palms together in front of your heart. Let's take a moment and set our intention for practice today. So whatever it is you most need from your practice, just be clear about that and you should receive it. Once you are clear, take a deep breath in. Exhale through the mouth. So if your legs are crossed, keep them that way. If your legs are extended, you can tuck your hands underneath the thighs. Otherwise, hands on the knees. We're going to begin with 4 slow torso circles in each direction. So you're going to go 4 times, exhaling forward and inhaling back. I want you to feel everything going on in your hips and in your back. And once you've had 4 circles in one direction, make sure you go the other way. And as you finish out, just come back to center. We're going to do a couple of those seated cat-cows. You're going to inhale and press your chest forward. Exhale, pull the chest back. I want you to think of this as just kind of limbering up your spine. We're going to be doing spinal work today. And so it's sort of like if you have a really stiff piece of wire and you want it to be more pliable, you kind of bend it back and forth. So that's what we're going to be doing today, is just working the spine. Go ahead and pause in a nice straight upright position. Gentle spinal twist to your right. So your right hand is behind you, left hand on the right knee or thigh as you look over right shoulder. And then go ahead and rotate around, twist to your left. Come back to the center. We're just going to transition onto hands and knees. Do some full-on cat-cow stretches. So as you inhale, you're arching the back, and as you exhale, you're rounding the back. Continuing that flexing and extending of the spine. And then just pause. Go ahead and take both of your feet to the right. Look over your right shoulder. Push your left rib cage out to the left. Take both feet over to the left. Look over your left shoulder. Push your right rib cage out to the right. Back to center. And now go ahead, and if you can, do a full-on traditional child's pose, a nice rounded back child's pose. Try and get into that. And take a couple of breaths. I want you to think about your tailbone being heavy and almost draping so that it points towards the ground. Try and get your forehead down. And if you're extra tight, you can always stack your fists and put your forehead on your hands. Take 2 more deep breaths here. And then we're gonna scoot forward into a nice spine lengthening sphinx. So we want to traction out. So make sure that your glutes are relaxed. You know, I usually recommend that you let your big toes touch each other and let the heels fall apart. And then you can pull strongly with your forearms, kind of pull and drag your chest forward. And then take your first downward facing dog and do any little movements that you feel like you need to do. And then once you do, make sure that your palms are nice and flat and you can press through your hands, reach the hips back, press the heels down. So if you were in on the practice where we did active versus passive stretching, you're going to want this to be an active down dog. And then go ahead and walk your feet forward. Keep your knees bent and just hang and ragdoll. Maybe even shake your head so that you can make sure your neck is totally relaxed. And then on your next inhale, arms come all the way up and overhead, stretch up. And as you exhale, bring your palms together in front of your heart. So let's do a little gentle standing spinal manipulation, and I'll mirror you on this. So just a nice comfortable hip distance stance, palms are together in front of your heart. We're going to inhale and reach the arms up. As you exhale, you're going to rotate open to your right. Arms come out to the side, palms up. Inhale, come back to the center, palms touch overhead. Exhale, rotate open to your left. Inhale, palms up and overhead, interlace the fingers. Exhale, lean to your right. Inhale, back up, and as you exhale, lean to your left. Inhale, back up. Exhale, full sweeping forward bend. Inhale, back up. Exhale, palms together in front of your heart. We're going to do that one more time. So inhale, reach the arms up, palms touch up and overhead. Exhale, rotate to your right, palms facing the ceiling. Inhale, back to the center, palms touch. Exhale, rotate to your left. Inhale, back to the center, interlacing the fingers, palms up. Exhale, leaning to your right. Inhale, back up. Exhale, leaning to your left. Inhale, back up. Exhale, sweep the arms out and down, full forward bend. Inhale, all the way back up. And as you exhale, palms together in front of the heart. So we're going to go ahead and inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold into a forward bend. Look up halfway, lengthen your spine and hold it. So whether your hands are on blocks, whether your knees are bent, makes no difference. Try and get the head and chest to actually pull forward a little bit, actually lengthen here, and then fold all the way back down. Step back with your left foot. So you just have your nice lunge here. And once you kind of get comfortable in your lunge and you're feeling the sensations in the thighs that you want to feel, again, think about lengthening your spine here. So the head and the gaze are both forward. Even the chest is kind of pulling forward. Drop your left knee down and let's just take the right hand up towards the ceiling, maintaining that length in the spine. Bring your right hand down outside the right foot. Let's extend the right leg, flex the ankle and toes. And then once you start feeling the hamstring, go ahead and try and get the spine to lengthen again. So when we talk about lengthening the spine, we're talking about extending it. An extension technically is like a back bend. So sort of lifting the chest, pulling forward. Flexion is a forward bend of the spine. Let's go ahead and bend the right knee. Bring the arms up and overhead. Tuck your tailbone under, let the hips sink forward. And then maintaining a vertical spine, we're going to rotate again. So you're just going to rotate to the right, arms are out like a T. Both hands come down to the mat. Right knee joins left knee. Give yourself a little tail wag if you need it. Vinyasa friends, you're welcome to take off. The rest of us are going to take a nice rounded back child's pose if possible. And then scoot forward into either Sphinx or Cobra. And then downward facing dog. Really lengthening your spine in your down dog. Take a big step forward with your left foot. And so just like we did on the other side, you kind of want to find those sensations in your leg that you want. But then once you get that, add in the extension of the spine. So we want the heart and the gaze to go forward. Go ahead and drop your right knee down. Keep your spine long and take your left hand up towards the ceiling. Bring your left hand down outside your left foot. Extend your left leg. Flex the ankle and toes. And then extend your spine again. Bend the left knee. Bring the arms up and overhead. Tuck that tailbone under. Lift the rib cage. Let the hips move forward. And then on your next exhale, rotate to the left. Arms are out like a T. Bring your hands down, step forward to your standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead. Exhale, palms together in front of your heart. So we're going to turn sideways on the mat and just take a moderately wide stance with your toes rotated out. A comfortable amount. So we're going to be doing some spinal tractioning and lengthening here. So I want you to start with your knees bent, hands on the insides of the thighs. You're going to have a little bit of a forward lean here. There's no way not to. And we're going to press against the inside of the left thigh as we twist and look over right shoulder. If you want to feel more, you bend the right elbow. If you want to feel even more, left hand moves higher up the inside of the left thigh. But it's absolutely imperative that you keep your left arm completely straight, full extension. And then we switch. We're going to twist and look over the left shoulder, pushing against the inside of the right thigh. Again, if you want to feel more, you bend the left elbow. If you want to feel even more, that right hand moves higher up the inside of the right thigh, but you keep your right arm straight. Come back to the center, straighten your legs. Do a couple of wrist rolls if you need to. A couple of shoulder rolls. So now we're going to be lengthening the spine a little bit more vertically. Bend the knees again and put your hands on your thighs with your elbows straight, but try not to lean forward like in the first pose. You want to be a little more vertical. And then what we're going to do is take a deep breath in. As you exhale, push into your thighs, lift the rib cage. So arms have to be totally straight again. If you can, you walk your hands higher up your thighs. Everyone's different. So if you're not in the crease of the thigh, don't worry about it. Elbows are straight. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, push into the thighs, lift your chest, hold that for one more breath, and then straighten the arms. Do a couple of wrist circles, straighten your legs. Sorry, roll your shoulders back. Good. And then just take the heels out. So now you're in a slightly wider stance and your feet are parallel. You're going to begin by just grabbing your elbows, hinging at the hips and folding forward. Once you get folded forward, totally relax your neck. And it doesn't matter where your hands are or your elbows or how close your head is to the floor. Just think about reaching the top of the head towards the ground. You don't get extra points if it hits, so don't worry about that. We're just lengthening the spine. And then both hands are going to walk over towards your right foot. You're going to go ahead and just lengthen out, extend your spine over your right thigh. And then if you can, hang on to something on your right foot or leg, because I want you to use your strength to pull your left rib cage back towards your left thigh. You're trying to get a deep side bend that you feel on the left side of your body. And then walk your hands over towards your left foot. Left leg stays straight. You're just trying to extend your spine over your left thigh. And then hang on to something, even if it's your left calf, it doesn't matter, because you're going to strongly pull that rib cage back towards the right thigh. So you're trying to make a C shape with your spine, and now you're feeling it on the right side. Come back to the center. Toe heel the feet in, whatever amount feels appropriate for you to drop your buns into a yogic squat. Remember, if you have knee issues, please support your weight on your thighs or the floor if you need to. And regardless of how far you are in the pose, let your hips, your pelvis be really heavy and let your heart lift. So it's actually possible to traction your spine here. Take one more breath. And then inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. So back at the front of the mat, we take a big inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale and fold all the way forward. Inhale and look up halfway. And then exhale back down. We're going to step straight back to downward facing dog. I want you to lengthen as much as you possibly can. So you're really trying to maximize that spinal lengthening here. And then we're going to drop down to the knees. Extend your right leg straight out behind you. Extend your left arm in front of you. And what I'd like for you to do, if possible, is gaze forward. So that helps with that spinal extension. Kind of make a mental note of how your spine feels here. Put your left hand and your right knee back down. Feel free to wag your tail if you like. And then we're going to extend the left leg out, lift it into the air. Right arm raises. So as long as it doesn't bother your neck, it'd be great if you were looking forward towards your right hand. Your spine should feel quite engaged, slightly arched, which again means extended. And I want you to remember how that feels. Right hand and left knee back down. Let's go ahead and counter pose with a child's pose. And then straight back into downward facing dog. Don't worry, you'll get another Sphinx in a moment. From your down dog, walk your feet forward to a standing forward bend. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, palms together in front of your heart. So our balance is going to be warrior 3. And we're doing this because of spinal extension. So that's why I wanted you to kind of have a mental note of how your back felt in that bird dog pose. That's what we're shooting for. So I don't care if you barely lean or if you get horizontal, makes no difference. I want you to have that engagement in the spine, the length in the spine. In order to do that, what I'm going to ask you to do is use the traditional hand position, which is with the arms overhead. Now, some of you guys may want to interlace your fingers and extend the index fingers. I don't like to do that because it doesn't feel great in my shoulders. You can have your arms separated, but here's what I'd like you to do. Arms are up. You're looking at your hands right now, and you can feel your back is engaged. We want to keep that. So just a little hint, a lot of people drop their hands and their gaze before they lean. Please don't do that. What I'd like you to do is stand on your left foot first. Keep your gaze and your arms up. So you can kind of think of it as like gazing at your hands. And you're just going to start to hinge at your left hip. Again, it doesn't matter how far you lean. What matters is that you keep that engagement in your spine. It should feel very stable. It should be partially arched, very lengthened. And then go ahead and come on back up. Relax your arms for a moment. Roll your shoulders back. So for those of you with tighter shoulders like I have, it can be a lot on the shoulders, but it really helps keep the proper alignment in the spine. So here we go again. Arms are up and overhead. I like to spread my fingers and keep the energy running. Keep your chest lifted. You're just hinging at your right hip. And maybe your left toes don't even leave the ground. It's fine. You just want to keep the spine as extended as possible. You should feel the muscles on either side of your spine engaged and contracted. Go ahead and come back up. Release the arms. Roll your shoulders back. And then just turn sideways and take a nice wide side step. Rotate your left foot in and your right foot out. We're going to keep both legs straight. We're just going to work our triangle again for spinal length, but this time on the sides of the spine. Let your hips move a little bit to the left. So your right arm is reaching so that you feel a lot of length on the right side of your spine. And you want to maintain that length as you find your triangle. So if you start feeling like your shirt or your skin is bunching up or wrinkling on the right side of your torso, you'll need to drop your rib cage. You want to stay as lengthened as possible on the right side. So once you get to wherever you're going in your triangle, I want you to think about creating even more length from your tailbone to the base of your skull. And then just come on up. Rotate your right foot in, your left foot out. Keep both legs straight. Kick your hips to the right. Lengthen that left arm, reach, reach, reach. So you want that length on the left side of your torso, and you want to try and maintain it as you find wherever it is that you go in your triangle pose. And it may be very different on one side than the other. The main goal is to keep plenty of length on the left side as well as the right. And then once you find that, imagine even more length between tailbone and base of the skull. And then come on up. Roll your shoulders back. You can step back up to the front of the mat. Bring your feet together. Bring your palms together. Take a big inhale, reach up. And then exhale and fold forward. Look up and lengthen. and then back down. Step back onto hands and knees. Those of you doing vinyasas, you can go for the full vinyasa at this point. The rest of us are going to take a child's pose. And then that Sphinx or Cobra as promised. Lengthening out for sure if you're in Sphinx. So technically in Sphinx and Cobra and upward facing dog, this arch in the back is considered extension. When we round the back, that's considered flexion. Let's go ahead and do downward facing dog, which technically should be traction, right? We're lengthening the spine. Make sure your neck is relaxed. There's space between the shoulder blades. You're creating that same length from the base of the skull to the tailbone, and you're pressing your heels down. Drop to your knees. Just coming into a really traditional, plain vanilla threading of the needle. Inhale your right arm up. Exhale, scoop it underneath you, and just find that nice stretch behind your right shoulder blade. Also noticing that your spine is rotating, and so you're keeping it long. Come all the way out of that. Inhale, the left arm up. Exhale, scoop it underneath. Find that nice stretch behind your left shoulder blade. Feel the rotation in the spine, so keep your spine long. Come on back up onto all fours. Give yourself a good, healthy tail wag. And then we're going to do our final downward facing dog. So just lengthen as much as you possibly can. And then from this down dog, you're going to walk your feet forward and just have a seat in Dandasana. So Dandasana really, when done properly, is pretty close to perfect as far as spinal alignment. So let's kind of focus on that. Let's bring the hands right behind the backside. Push into the floor so the spine is straight and long. Make sure your head draws back so your ears are over your shoulders, which are over your hips. And then get your legs very active. And just kind of take a moment here and pause. Notice how your body's feeling so far, particularly your spine, your back. How's all that feeling? Notice your breathing, your thoughts, your emotions, and your energy. And then we're going to go into a forward bend, but I had you do a lot of extension in the first part of the practice. We're going to do a little flexion now. So be mindful of your back, of course, and your neck. But if it feels okay, we're going to roll down or curl down. You're going to tuck your chin into that little notch in your collarbone and start to kind of roll or round down. Almost as though you're going to put the top of your head on your knees. One more breath here. Come on up from that. Keep your right leg straight. Bring your left foot to the inside of the right thigh. And now I want you to actually extend your spine out over your right leg. So what that means is, again, heart, face, gaze, all forward as you stretch out over that right leg. And remember, it doesn't matter how far you go, like what you're grabbing. You might be grabbing your knee or your calf. It doesn't really matter. If your spine is extended and you're feeling it in your right hamstring, you're doing great. Now, If you would like to get back into this left side of the low back and hip, stay where you're at, but bring your left hand to the top of your left thigh. If balance is an issue, you can put your right hand off to the side if you prefer. But here's what we're going to do. It's just like when we were standing, that traction move. I want you to get your left arm totally straight. As much as you can, you're still leaning forward over the right leg. Again, if you need to put your right hand on the ground for stability, do that. We're just kind of trying to experiment and find a little bit more opening through left side of the low back, left hip. Coming up from that, pick your left foot up and bring it all the way across your right leg. We're going to keep the right leg straight. Left foot should be completely flat if possible. And because we're going to twist, you want your spine straight. So the cool thing about this position is if you need to, you can actually pull against your left shin to get that straight spine, and then just take your left hand behind you, either continuing to hug the left knee, or if you like a little deeper twist, you can bring the right arm outside of it. And we're going to twist and look over that left shoulder. Now, as you unwind, bring the soles of the feet together. First, we're going to bring our hands behind us, nice straight spine. Press the knees out to the side and then down towards the ground. And then if it feels okay in your body, just bring your hands in front of your legs. Slowly, slowly walk the hands forward, allowing your neck to relax, allowing the spine to just drape. Come back up from that, extend your left leg straight out, let that right foot come to the inside of the left thigh, and we're leaning forward with extension. So remember, chest and face and gaze forward as you lean out over your left leg. And then if you would like, and this is optional of course, right hand can come to the midpoint of the right thigh. Again, if balance is an issue, left hand can be on the floor. The idea is we want to keep leaning forward over the left leg and then press the right arm as straight as possible to get that tractioning on the right side of the low back, right hip. So kind of experiment with this. And then we're going to come on up from that, pick the right knee up. So just like we did on the other side, if you want to, hang on to that right shin and pull. Lift your chest. You want to be super straight when you twist. Right hand comes behind you. You can keep just hanging on to the right knee, or you can bring your left arm outside of it as you twist and rotate to your right. Rotate back around. Bring the soles of the feet together again, and keeping the soles together now, slide them way out in front of you. So if you look down, you have a very long, narrow diamond shape in front of you. Clasp your ankles. We're going both ways here. First, we extend. Chest is lifted and you are pulling forward. Now, if you are excessively tight in your hips, you might feel this in the outer hips before you feel it in the low back or sacrum, but you should get a little bit of sensation in the low back. Take one more breath here, and then just come up slightly, not a lot. And now if it feels okay in your body, you're gonna round down as though you were gonna put your head on your feet, and that should feel quite different. You might still feel it in your hips, but it should feel different in your back. Come on up from that. Take your legs nice and wide. Make sure you're on your sit bones. Now, for those of you, again, who have tighter hips, hands can stay on the ground behind you, but what I would ask is that you lift your chest and push it forward like you're trying to arch your back. For those of you who can maintain this without your hands behind you, rather than having your hands on the floor in front of you or on your legs, I would ask you to raise them overhead, kind of look at the hands, just like we did in our Warrior 3, and let your chest pull forward. So you're trying to keep your spine extended. And you can think of that as true extension, like lengthening forward, but spinal extension is also a slight arch. So maintain that. 3 more breaths. Go ahead and walk your hands back up. You can help your legs together. Give them a nice wiggle. Now, as we get ready to roll down onto our backs, we're gonna go to a side-to-side rock, but not first unless you need it. So for some of us, our backs don't like to rock forward and backward or front to back. And if that's you, just go on your back and hug your knees. But for those of you who can rock forwards and backwards, we're gonna do that 180. We're gonna rock back and forth, but we're gonna rock in a half circle till we're pointing the opposite direction on the mat, and then rock back to where we started. When you do that, you'll notice it emphasizes one side of the spine versus the other, and it actually should feel good. So if you do this and it doesn't feel good, you're just gonna stay on your back and rock side to side. Otherwise, what I'd like you to do is just start rocking forwards and backwards, and then start adding a little bit of rotation to it so that you can rock all the way around until your feet are at the head part of the mat and the head is at the feet. And then you're gonna make the return journey. So don't make it a full 360, you're just going 180 and 180. When you get all the way realigned where you started, then you can stay on your back and do the little side to side rock. So the first thing we're going to do on our backs here is a nice therapeutic bridge lift. You guys are all familiar with it, so I know you know what you're doing, but I want you to really focus on the full articulation of your spine. So the arm position is optional. Feel free to do that if you like. But the slower you breathe, the more time you'll have to feel each little segment of the spine lift and lower. So do your best with this. Try and breathe really slowly. If you can, still have big toes touching and heels separated. And what we're going to do is just inhale and lift and exhale and lower. But I want you to really try and do it like almost like one vertebra at a time. Inhaling to lift and exhaling to lower. Just really taking your time, feeling each part of the spine moving. And if you're really mindful, what you should be feeling is extension as you inhale and flexion as you exhale. Wherever you're at in the process, you're going to add one more full inhale and exhale, one more full bridge lift. And then as you finish out, just hug those knees in, rock side to side. So we're gonna come into a really gentle and perfectly aligned spinal twist. In order to do that, I need you to put your feet back on the mat like you did for bridge. You're gonna inhale and lift your bum up just a little bit and then swing it over to the left side of the mat and put it down. So now you feel off center. Stay just like you are, but pick your feet up off the mat. Knees are still bent and you're gonna drop both knees to your right. Left arm opening out to the left. If it's okay with your neck, your head turns to the left. So if you could see yourself from above, your spine is perfectly centered and parallel to the long sides of your mat, which means that you're getting really safe and beautifully aligned rotation here. You have a long, straight spine, and you're just twisting. So take a few breaths, feel into your spine. One more breath here. On your next inhale, you're going to bring your knees back up and then go ahead and put your feet on the mat. So remember, you're off center and you should still feel off center. So we're going to switch to the other side now. Lift your bum up. I want you to push it over to the right side of your mat and put it back down. Pick feet and knees up, drop them to the left. Arm opens to the right, the head turns to the right. So again, if you actually feel down, you should feel that you're right up the middle of your mat. Your spine should feel very straight and long. And you're simply breathing and enjoying this rotation and this spinal mobility. One more breath here. And then inhale your legs back up. So you're still off center. We have to correct that. Put your feet on the mat. Lift your bum up. Bring it back to the middle. Put it back down. Hug your knees in and rock side to side. So we're going to come into proper dead bug. I want you to separate your knees. From the inside, you're going to reach down and grab the arches of your feet and try and get the lower leg vertical. What I'd like you to focus on, even if it's not actually happening in physical reality, I'd like you to imagine that your back is very flat here. In other words, imagine pressing your tailbone and the back of the pelvis into the mat while you're doing your dead bug. And then you can just transition your hands to the outside edges of your feet and take a few breaths, doing a little happy baby work here. When you feel like you're happy with your happy babies, put your feet flat on the mat, knees bent, ankles and knees together. So today we're going to do our legs kind of like butterfly wings. As you exhale, you're going to let your knees drop open. As you inhale, you're going to close your knees back up. The feet will be flat on the mat, knees pointing up. As you exhale, knees drop open, soles of the feet face each other. Inhale, knees come back up. Nice and slow breathing. Nice and slow, like when you did your bridge lift, slow, like that, controlled. So we're controlling the movement along with the breath, keeping it slow and gentle. You'll feel when your knees drop open that there's a small arch in the back. You'll feel when the knees close up that your back flattens and almost rounds. Let's do a couple more of these. Now the next time that your knees drop open, let the soles of the feet touch. Just rest passively for a couple of breaths. Again, you're going to feel a small arch in your back, right? That last little bit of extension. So if you were to put your hand down, you could slide it underneath your low back. We're about to remove that curve and do our final flexion. So on your next inhale, tilt the pelvis back, press your low back flat into the mat. So now you can't slide your hand underneath you. Hold that while you breathe normally, and then the next time you breathe out, let your body relax again. You'll feel the extension return. One more time, inhale, flexion, low back presses into the mat. You're lengthening your low back muscles, you're breathing. And then exhale and release. And just begin to extend your legs. Separate the feet. Just find that perfect spot for your whole body to be in. Arms are out to the side. Your palms are facing up and your hands are somewhere a little bit lower than your shoulders. Make sure your neck feels long, that your jaw is relaxed, your eyes are closed. Take a really deep breath in. And exhale through your mouth. Let your body soften. Let your breath soften. And I want you to just imagine that you're no longer breathing in and out of the nose, but rather that you are breathing in through the crown of your head and letting the breath go all the way down the spine to the tailbone, and breathing out from the tailbone all the way back up and out the crown of the head. Then I want you to imagine that you're inhaling all the way down to the base of your spine. As you exhale, you're going to let the breath split and go down both legs and out the arches of the feet. So you're inhaling from the top of the head all the way down to your tailbone, exhaling from the tailbone out the soles of your feet. Now we're going to inhale from the top of the head all the way down to the tailbone. And as you exhale, let the breath come back up the spine, but shoot down both arms and hands so that you're breathing out the tips of your fingers and thumbs. So you're inhaling all the way down to your tailbone, exhaling back up and then down the arms and hands. Now we're going to breathe all the way down to the base of the spine. And as you breathe out, you're going to split your breath 5 ways. So you're going to exhale down both legs and out the soles of the feet, down both arms and out the fingertips and thumb tips, and back up the spine and out the top of the head. So you're inhaling through the crown of the head all the way down to the base of the spine, exhaling out both feet, both hands, and the top of the head. Now, finally, we make it a true full body breath as you inhale. You're going to inhale from the top of your head all the way down to your tailbone, but as you exhale, I want you to exhale through every single pore in your skin. Inhale from the crown of the head to the base of the spine. Exhale out your entire body through every single pore. Allow your breath to come back to your normal way of breathing, in and out through the nostrils, inflating and deflating the lungs. Feel back into your body, particularly your spine, just feeling how everything feels, feeling if you're more alive. Begin to move fingers and toes a little bit. Begin to deepen your breath. When you're ready, take that deep breath in, spread the fingers and toes. Exhale through your mouth, relax them. Even deeper breath in, just stretch. And exhale again and relax. Bend your knees. You're welcome to hug them in if you like. And then roll to your right side. And when you're ready, press yourself into sitting. So as we come to our seated position, we just want to take a moment to compare and contrast how it feels to have this straight aligned spine. Maybe it's a little easier, a little more comfortable. Maybe you feel a little more alive, alert, aligned. Maybe not, but we just notice. So take a moment and notice, how does your spine feel? How's the rest of your body? How's your breath, your thoughts, your emotions, and perhaps most importantly, your energy? And then for our breath work, we're going to stay with this idea of spinal mobility. So one of the reasons that the ancient yogis always sat for meditation is there's this barely perceptible, and for some people imperceptible, movement of the spine as we breathe in a seated position. As you inhale, there's an ever so slight lengthening of the spine, and as you exhale, there's an ever so slight compression of it. And this just has to do with the action of the diaphragm and the inflation of the lungs, etc. It's very subtle, but I want you to just breathe super deep and slow, no particular count, no particular nostril, but I want you to see if you can tune in to that very subtle rising and falling of the spine as you breathe. So super straight spine, closed eyes, Just breathing deep and slow to see if you can feel that final little bit of elongation and compression of the spine with the breath. And then just let your breathing come back to normal. Bring your palms together in front of your heart. I'd like you to take a moment in gratitude for your spine. The bony spine that houses and protects your spinal cord, which is the only means of communication between your brain and the rest of the body. And it beautifully corresponds to the energy channels in yoga. And then gratitude for yoga. It teaches us how to care and maintain our spine, which is really the key to our life. Take one more really deep breath in through your nose. Big exhale through the mouth. We bring our palms together at our foreheads just as a reminder to be in the moment, to be present. We bring our palms together in front of our mouths, reminding us to speak our truth, even when it's difficult. And we bring our palms together in front of our hearts, reminding us to keep our hearts open, to always practice kindness, compassion, understanding, and love. Thank you guys for joining me today. Namaste.